Hello, and you're listening to the Unworthy Exchange. My name is Alex.
My name is Nico.
And today we're talking about distractions. This is actually our second time filming this episode because it was lost accidentally. Not maliciously, but accidentally. I accidentally lost the episode. And here we are recording in the afternoon. We usually record first thing in the mornings. Mm-hmm. And so we'll see how much of the, how different the dynamic is on this episode.
That's true, yeah.
Because to be honest, I'm kind of wiped for the day.
We've
Not
both
gonna
had
lie.
full days so far. So, yeah.
Yep, distraction. We are talking about
Did you already
distraction.
mention that this is the second time we were...
Yep.
Okay, I got distracted. I was looking at my
see how many
thermostat.
distractions are in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, creative ventures, by the way, whether you're recording or filming or creating something, at least for me, has always been best done in the morning time. I know some people are better at that in like the afternoon or middle of the night even, or late at night, whatever. I am wake up in the morning, have the coffee, get ready, and just like hit the day with the creativity. And this is not one of those times right now. And so today we're talking about distraction, biblical distraction, or even just worldly distraction. What is it? What does it mean?
Yeah.
And for the sake of not trying to hold ourselves to the same, I don't want to say script because we don't script these, not to the same standard as like last episode, I think the conversation needs to just flow the way it needs to. There was a reason, there was a point that the last version didn't get saved. I'm a firm believer in that things happen for a reason like that. And so maybe we said something we shouldn't have, or we didn't get to say something that we should. The point is we're going to talk about that today. And so I think I want to kick us off and start us off with the concept and the idea that you cannot be distracted if you do not have a vision or a goal in mind.
Yeah.
Right. And so what would be the opposite? I'm not distracted. I just have a lot of opportunities. Right.
Right.
Or I'm spread too thin. I have a lot going on. Are they distractions or are they opportunities? What's the difference? It depends on what your vision is. Right. What do you have to say on that?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of different ways to look at it, a few different worldviews, but our worldview is obviously Christian, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while. And so we hold the most important thing to hold true to being relationship with Christ and God's will for your life. And so anything that deviates from that or leads you any other way could be considered a distraction. And that's kind of my thoughts on.
Well, that's true. It is true. But I think getting concrete is like, what does that look like day to day in your work? We have to work. Work is necessary, and your family and things like that. And so I think for us specifically, when we talk about distraction, we're going to talk about, like for me, I immediately go to work mode, right? The things that I have to do every day in order to make money, bring home a paycheck, provide for my family, all of that stuff. There are things that I do that help that, and there are things that I do that maybe don't hurt. They're not bad, but they don't help that, right? And it's all seasonal. It depends on the season that you're in. For some people, it's like, I can't afford a distraction. I have to keep going and make sure that everything I'm doing is for the productive gain for my business, for my work, for all of that. I would say for me right now, I'm in that season. I've just had to let many things go that were good things, as far as like networking groups and coffee meetings and one-to-ones and regular things that would happen. And they're great things to build relationships and get to know people. But how does that translate? If you had to put a dollar amount, what's your ROI on that? When you're talking in terms of like business, actually you recognize it's hurting the ability to grow the business I already have that's been providing. And so that's what I mean when I say like distraction for work, when it comes to work. Do you have any thoughts or examples on that?
No, not really, honestly.
All right, moving on.
Sorry, I might be quieter this episode. It is that 2:30.
No, it's okay. That's why we've got not sponsored
I'm gonna go
prebiotic, not sponsored
I left my
Poppy prebiotic soda. Yeah, it's good.
Did you get it from Costco, or do you guys don't shop at Costco, do you?
No, we don't have a Costco membership anymore. We became Sam's Club people, much to my chagrin. I miss Costco. I think we're just going to get a membership there again.
$1.50 hot dogs.
Yeah, that's worth it. And cheap gas.
Yeah, although gas is not cheap in the Springs anywhere.
Yeah.
Anyways,
distractions.
distractions.
You have to define what your goals are. And not even goals, but just vision. What's important to you? You have to define your values. You have to define the core pillars and the fundamentals of what's important and unshakable in your life. What do you know to be true? What's something that's going to stay consistent with you, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, or 10 years? Like, you just know that this is always going to be a core thread of us.
Yeah.
You know, family time. That's a big thing. You know, even just like getting to specifics of like where we want to live, how we choose to spend our time, how we choose to spend our money, things like that. You get solidified on those things. You create concrete vision out of that says, okay, if we want to have a life that looks like this or functions this way or behaves this way, I got to have a business or a job to support it. And that business or that job has to look like this. And then out of that, you have to work backwards and say, how do I get my business to that point? If I get my business to where it's making $1 million a year in profit, that's not just a fancy number. It's like, what is that based on? How do you break that down? Where is it reasonable? Where is it attainable? 3 years, 5 years, 1 year, quarterly goals to say, what am I doing that's directly supporting that? $1 million a year business has to be making $500,000 a year in profit. $500,000 a year business has to be making $100,000 a year in profit. How do you do the things today so that you can point to and say, these things I'm doing today are directly correlating to the $100,000 a year business? That $100,000 a year business cannot survive without the things I'm doing today.
Right.
And then you kind of roll that up. And so this is getting, again, trying not to get into the weeds, but the point is you have values, you have vision, you have mission across your life for family, for work, whatever it is. And then out of that, you're able to identify and say, is this a distraction or is it not? Otherwise, it just looks like equal opportunity, right?
Yeah. You're just saying to develop the big picture, 30,000-foot view of what are you working towards? What are you moving towards? And when you have that timeline laid out, not even a timeline, but that like large picture view, you can shrink it down to a day by day and say, hey, should I be, in my example, I'm trying to build a YouTube channel. So if the goal is to start earning an income from that, it's like, okay, what does my day to day look like? I could be spending time, working and editing videos or planning things out, or I could be watching TV, or I could be, you name it. And so I think that's just a good way to look at or discern like where we should be on the day to day.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's patterns. You have to keep in mind, like, you have to live in some respect, right? You got to enjoy things. You got to be able to live. And so this podcast is an example of that, where we were just talking, like, my business is set, it's structured. I have a roadmap for these things. I've cut out the things that are distracting. Even so, to the point of cutting out the things that gain money, because like we've talked about, money isn't everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if it costs you time and energy away from a greater thing that you're building or that you have more value and alignment with, then it's not worth it. For example, I was doing car detailing, and you were helping me with that.
Yeah.
It was right for the season that I did it, that we did it. It was right for the season. It provided income. It provided what we need. But through a lot of prayer and dedication to the Lord, it went away like overnight. Mm-hmm. It went away at the same time that my business here started flourishing. And it was like, okay, the field has shifted. He's given me a new field to work. I need to work that field. And so when there's opportunities, I say opportunities, I'm going to say distractions that would come up and say, hey, can you clean my car? It's like, okay, I can take this day to go clean a car to make a couple $100. On the surface, you think about it as like, oh, I need money. We focus on the things that I need. But the bigger pattern of thinking is actually focusing on the patterns that you behave in, the patterns that we think in, the patterns that we act in, that say, am I chasing a dollar right now, or am I choosing to protect my focus and my intention and my integrity because I know that by choosing to stay in the momentum that I've built in my business, this will yield a greater produce, a greater crop over time. And that comes down to knowing and solidifying and having concrete vision for the mission, for the picture. right? And so again, it's patterns. Like I see your Nintendo Switch over there. We should totally play a game of Mario Kart or Super Smash after this.
That would be cool.
That'd be a lot of fun. But if we did that every single day for X amount of time, it's like, okay, developing that pattern over time is unhealthy. But you can live a little and say like, hey, we can play a game and like cut loose for 20 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not going to inhibit something. Like it's not about being legalistic and saying I have to cut out all distraction. It's just, again, the patterns that we've allowed, that we've accepted quietly because, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to go network and meet people. I could get out and about and I could have coffee with people. Yeah. And before you know it, you're encouraged to do more and more. And before you know it, it's like you're having coffee with people 4 or 5 days a week. There's opportunity cost on both sides of that. You got to drive there, have a meeting, drive back. You don't take into account the mental shift that has to take place. And before you know it, it's like the actual work you're doing that's productive and yielding income is like a couple hours a week. But you feel productive because you're talking to people, and it's like that's what we're talking about. Is it feels like an opportunity, but it looks like distraction. And this is really heavily tailored towards like work.
That's what I was thinking, is maybe not everybody has this big, like, small business that they're trying to build, so to speak.
A big small business.
A big small business. But maybe there's some
small big
greater
business.
purpose in your... If you're married, let's say, in my case, I'm newly married, and my wife comes first. That's just, like, my priority across the board. After my relationship with Christ, my wife comes first before anything else, before meeting with people, etc. So we have evenings together consistently, but we only have a limited amount of time in the evenings. And so I think sacrifice is the word that's coming to mind a lot listening to you talk, is like there are good opportunities, and sure, I could be meeting with people from church all throughout the week, but if I am doing that so much that it takes away from the time spent with my wife, that is not a good thing. That turns a lot of little good things into a big bad thing. And so one of the things that I'm navigating this week and last week is that less is more in terms of the relationships. And we were even talking about that this morning with a family friend who reached out. He's writing a book. Does he watch these?
I hope not. I'm kidding.
Yeah. But
Shout out to you, Steve.
Shout out Steve, writing a book. Yeah, he
I hope
sent
he
us
does,
like the
too.
first 3 chapters to read through, and I did not do that yet. That was like 2.5 weeks ago. You sent it to me. But moral of the story: you can't do all the things. There's always going to be people who want to take up. I don't want to say like they're predatory. It's just kind of the nature of it. People will take up a lot of your time if you allow it, just through like meeting with people. And so it's good to budget your time just like you budget your finances. And a way to do that, I guess, is every Sunday, my wife and I will budget our time. We'll go through the week, and it stems from a place of what do we value and how do we budget our time accordingly and make sacrifices. It's like if I've got a line of people who want to meet for coffee, sorry, I can get to maybe 1 or 2 a week. And 2, honestly, is a lot. Like 1, I feel like, is even a lot for the season I'm in right now. But
I'm guilty of
Yeah.
that. I would love, because I love talking with people and meeting with people. It's like I would push off work or push a project out
yeah,
because I'd rather have coffee with somebody. And it's like, that's backwards. That's wrong.
right.
I've been wrong.
Yeah, that makes total
Yeah.
sense. It's funny. I was praying Monday that the Lord would help me to be more interruptible, because I tend to become a
Well, I'll just talk
workaholic.
over you more. How about that?
That's not.
That's not what you meant?
That's not what I meant. I tend to be a workaholic when I'm working on things, and I have a really hard time stopping something and going to do something else. And I think it's easy for me to be like, "Oh, this is just a distraction." But sometimes there are good things that come up.
Interrupting goat says what?
I don't know that.
What?
Okay.
I don't know.
I heard interrupting cow. but-
Yeah, interrupting cow. Yeah.
Okay. That's the Walmart.
sorry.
brand. No, it's okay. Shoot, what was I saying? Thanks.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
It's fitting for the episode on distractions.
Well, no, I remember what I was saying yesterday.
No, too late now.
Yesterday, I thought it was funny. I think God has a sense of humor, because he gave me about a day's buffer from the time that I was praying to become more interruptible. And then, what day is today? Wednesday.
My
Yesterday was
dudes.
Tuesday. Monday was fine. I had zero interruptions. I got everything done I wanted to. I was like, great, this is fantastic. Yesterday was the complete opposite. I didn't get a single thing done that I wanted to because it just wasn't a day for that, right? There were other things that I had to do. And that's where being,
Sorry.
part of having a vision and being in that mindset is holding the things that you want versus the things that you need or no need to get done, holding those things loosely enough to pivot if you understand that like this is the greater vision and the greater purpose. So there were a lot of things I had to get done yesterday that I didn't want to get done, and it took up the entirety of my day. And that's just the reality. One of those things being sitting at Discount Tire for an hour because I had to get tires put on my wife's car. Not exactly fun, but it's necessary. So a lot of those
And
kind
that
of
comes
things.
with, walking with the Lord, starting your day with the Lord. And we've talked about that before, like
Yeah.
surrendering your mornings to Him and holding everything on your plate up to Him to say, all right, God, I'm holding this up to you. And I know that you might let me get it all done. And that's great. And that's fine. And I thank you for that. But you might also interrupt my day. And that's fine. Just please help me, give me some patience
Right.
and the clarity and the ability to like see it and roll with it and be okay with it. Yeah, distraction. I mean, when you're talking about like family time, time with wife, with kids, it is tough because on the surface you're like we want to go see people, we want to go meet people and do all these things, but there's an opportunity cost to everything. To everything. Like for us to come here and do this, we're giving up something in our day. For me to choose this to drink, I'm giving up something else. And like, yeah, sure, I could have a water and a coffee right there next to it, but you can't physically drink them at the same time unless you mix them together. Maybe this is a really bad metaphor. But the point is
It's okay.
the point is that there's an opportunity cost. You can't give something 100% of your attention if you're splitting or if you're trying to divide your attention. You just can't. And so you have to ask yourself, what am I giving up by doing this? And it might be a good thing. Like I can go meet somebody for coffee, and that's a great thing, and that's a big investment of time. But what am I giving up truly? And you have to see the value in the thing that you're giving up. And for me, I never really saw that or understood that fully enough. I used coffee meetings and talking with people maybe as like an escape from the just boring rigor of computer work,
Sure. I could
which
see
is
that
real,
for sure.
It's a lot more exciting to go spend money and have coffee and talk with people
Yeah.
than it is to sit on the computer clicking at stuff.
I'm the opposite. I'm very introverted by nature. And this has been coming up in my wife's marriage mentoring my wife and I's marriage mentoring. We did a marriage assessment. And
needs it, I don't.
I'm perfect though. We're polar opposites in this, where my wife is a golden retriever and loves people and talking to people, but I'm what I would call a tinkerer. Like I'm completely happy just being a hermit in my own cave in the mountains. If you give me like some things to tinker with, and I'll see you in 3 months, pretty much. So it's interesting hearing that because I feel like I like computer work. Like if I had a nice office set up and a desk and everything, I'd probably be in there all the time. I did that a lot through high school, actually. I was in mom and dad's basement making videos a lot. But yeah, no, it's funny because when I'm at the end of my computer work, I just feel like I have no energy for anything.
Yeah, it's exhausting. It
Yeah.
tends to flip flop. Like if you get exhausted in one area, like an extroverted activity, doing an introvert activity will recharge you. And then it tends to be like the opposite. If you're extroverted, getting exhausted doing an introverted activity, talking with other people will tend to recharge you.
That makes sense.
So I've learned that over the time. It's like if I'm just super tired or just exhausted, if I can force myself to have a conversation with somebody or do something like that, it will actually reinvigorate me and kind of charge me up again. And again, this is getting distracted, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I think the value and the meaning that we're trying to convey here in this episode is understand what your goals are. Understand what is important to you. And for me, as an entrepreneur with that mindset, I tend to see everything as opportunity, equal opportunity. I can do it. I can do it. I could do it. I could do this. Therefore, it's valuable, right? I don't see it as distraction. I've struggled to see it as distraction. I could make money doing this. I could go spend time doing that. This would feel good to go have a conversation with somebody. Those are good things. But then you end up getting, you just chase the wind around, you know? You're just chasing what feels good. You're just chasing what feeds some sense of knowing that or feeling like you're productive instead of holding true and holding fast to like, no, this is what I need to do. These are the things that are marching towards my goals. I have to do those things, even if they don't always feel good all the time.
Yeah.
Like I would much prefer to just take a day off or just go meet people or just have coffee or just have lunch with people every other day. How much more fun would that be than working? But it's like you have to say no to the things that are distracting. And I even held this podcast up, to be honest. For me in that season, I'm like, do I need to say no to this podcast for a while? Is it a distraction or not? But I'd like to hold on to it because as far as like, it's just time. It's just sitting here to do this. And I think it is sharpening and I think it helps at least the one or two people that watch this.
There's quite a few on YouTube.
Shout out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great.
There's like 2 likes on every video though, so
Yeah.
the core group is small but strong.
It's a good thing. It's a valuable thing. And it doesn't take that much like administrative back end. Like we finished recording this, I put it into the template, I export it, I upload it, make a thumbnail, and we're pretty much done.
That's it.
And so it's not like my YouTube business, which requires a lot more time, dedication, a heck of a lot more time, dedication,
A lot more thinking too.
thinking, overhead. And so it's like this is a creative outlet that's very closely aligned to the real work that I do, but it's kind of just for fun. And it actually makes me better in my craft of my YouTube channel.
That's good.
Full time.
And it's a ministry.
Yeah, and it's a ministry. Cool. It's a great thing. And so that's where I've had to like really weigh that and go, okay, it is something that I like, but I don't know necessarily, and we've talked about this before, like doing it after hours or on the weekends. I don't even know if that's a great answer either because then that takes away from my family time, which is top priority. And so it's like if it's priority enough where it helps me during my work week, it needs to be during the work week, but it needs to be scheduled in. I need to understand the opportunity cost to it. And maybe some weeks it's like we just can't do it. Maybe some weeks we just have too much other stuff going on. Yeah. That's just the reality of it.
We'll make a post. Community post.
Right. And so that's at least for me and my thinking and my line of work, that's where the distraction comes in because I mean for me, Monday through Friday, most of my waking hours are spent just working for gain, working for money, right? And a lot of that time is like evenings, weekends with the kids and stuff like that. And then it flips. I can't allow my work to become a distraction to that time. That I work hard, I play hard, I work hard, I play hard. And so understanding what is a distraction in the moment and what is necessary of your time and attention, undivided attention, because we can't be multitaskers, scattered attention, you know.
That's true.
People try to have a conversation with the phone in their hand and they're talking to how many different people. It's like,
that's true. Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Because it does change on the day to day. The priority during, or perhaps the distraction during business hours becomes the priority in the evenings if you're working from home, where if you're in working hours and your kids are coming in and wanting to talk to you or play with you or whatever, you know, you're working right now. But that looks totally different in the evenings where that is the priority and then work needs to get put away.
Right. And now what about distraction in terms of like if you were to ask somebody or talk about like, oh, we're just so distracted in this world. People tend to interpret that and think about that in terms of like social media, phones, TV. Oh yeah, we're so distracted. But what are they saying truly in that? You're saying there's an underlying assumption that there's something better you could be doing, that there's a better, more worthy thing to put your time and attention into, and that's probably correct. But again, what if you could enjoy something? Like, okay, Nintendo Switch, you know, play Mario Kart, whatever, just reset the brain, factor that into your schedule. And if you know that you can reasonably budget your time for that, and it doesn't afford you or lose you anything, but it gains you a mental clarity boost and reset, that's fine. To some
Yeah.
people, like, oh, that's a distraction, or you're getting off track. It's like, no, actually, it's a team building exercise. Me, myself, and I,
They do it at work all the time.
right. And so, like, that's a good thing. You just have to, it has to be in alignment or out of alignment with your goals. To say there's this universal standard that everybody's just distracted, well, that's kind of a sloppy term to use, isn't it? Because that assumes everybody
Yeah.
shares the same definition of what a goal or success looks like,
Right.
right? And I'm not trying to be all relativistic, because for the most part, it's like, yeah, just sitting around watching YouTube all day is a distraction.
Yeah.
But genuinely for me, and I just had this conversation with my wife, I'm like, actually, me watching YouTube at scheduled times helps me in my
that makes
business,
sense.
because I use it as research. I need to know the market that I'm contributing to.
Right.
I need to understand what other people are consuming. I need to understand what my audience is consuming. I need to know the information that's out there. I need to make sure that I'm adding meaningful conversation to the space and not just doubling up and not just missing the mark. And so it's like, for me, watching YouTube at certain scheduled times throughout my week is a good thing.
I could see
And
that.
anybody could walk in and be like, you're so distracted, you're watching YouTube. It's like, no, I'm actually researching.
I just did that this morning because I was working on a thumbnail and I just hit like creator's block. I'm like, I have no idea on this thumbnail. And so just looking up that same topic of conversation and seeing what other people have, it's like, is my video's probably going to be up on this wall. So it's like, what was everybody else's looking like? And that starts to breed some creativity. And I got 3 thumbnails out of that. So
Yeah, and I think distraction is really just, spending time, energy, and effort outside on something that's outside of
yeah,
something that's, aligned with your vision, mission, purpose, goals. And that could be across many, many things. But we do need to be honest with ourselves. Like, it doesn't work. You can't identify distractions unless you're super honest with yourself.
yeah,
You could say, oh, yeah, my 3 hours of news in the morning is definitely needed, definitely necessary. It's like, but be honest with yourself. Like, our brains aren't meant to handle all the information that's happening in the world at once.
no.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah,
And-
same with Instagram. That's a big one that I'm thinking on these days. I'm like, do I keep it or not? Because I don't spend as much time on it anymore because I've been busy with YouTube. But a lot of times that's what I just go to if I'm waiting for a video to export or something. And I just feel like, maybe I should just sit in silence for a moment instead of trying to fill the void with noise and reels and stuff.
Yeah, there's tools, there's distractions, there's in-betweens, there's gray areas. And right, you have to write down and be crystal clear on what are my goals, what am I doing with my day and my time. That's big picture stuff, right? But then,
Yeah.
like you say, the little things, the little moments where it's like, oh, Instagram got in. And we don't account for the time and energy and the mental shift it takes to get from one box into another. It's super easy to just start scrolling mindlessly. And then before you know it, you're like, I got to get out of this and get back into something I should be doing. There's an energy shift that has to happen there. There's an attention shift. And it takes a long time to get back into that mode of work. And so the things that we can do that don't rely on willpower, that are change your home screen, delete the app, only access it from your computer, only access it from your iPad, like anything we can do to add friction so we can go, oh, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't do this, stop myself. Those are good productivity things. The key is to catch it early, because we can lie to ourselves. At least for me, I can lie to myself and be like, I found this really good Facebook Marketplace deal.
Oh, for sure.
And, before I know it, I've jumped on it and spent a whole day going to get this thing because it was a great deal. And then after the fact, you're like, oh, that was a distraction. If I would have just deleted Facebook off my phone and checked it on my computer, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And so we get caught up. I'm going to pull the Jurassic Park quote. We're so preoccupied with whether or not we could. We don't stop to think whether or not we should.
Yeah. That's funny.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
now
I
there's
could
dinosaurs
do this.
eating people.
But think about it. It's like anything. I could do this. I could do that. I could do this. I could do that. What could I do with my day? No. Should you do that today or should you not? That's the question. Not could I, but should I?
Yeah.
And that's really what distraction comes down to. And you have to, again, predefine what are the goals, what's the mission, what's the vision. And it's across everything. And, like, you don't have to be building a business. You could just simply have a family. You don't have to have a family. You could just say, you know what? I just want to be healthier. Or I
Yeah.
want to be stronger. Or I just want to have a better relationship with God. I want to read more books this month. So if I sit down today and I say, all right, I'm just going to watch TV, how's that aligning you to your goals? What have you planned out that's going to actionably get you to the thing that you've planned?
Right.
And that's where distraction is. And so for us, we sat down to record an episode.
Yeah.
I think we've talked mostly about distraction.
I think we have.
But-
Yeah. It's all
Some
kind of
rabbit
segued
trails,
back
yeah.
to it.
Segue.
But you're not always going to feel like you want to do the thing you know you need to do. I'll be honest, I don't feel like recording a podcast episode today, but we need to. Like I said, I spent all morning on my computer. I'm just like, hello.
Yeah, me too. I get it.
But yeah, it comes down to discipline and just having this bigger vision of this is what's necessary. And so we're going to move forward in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
That's
that's
all
all
we
we have
got.
to say on
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Cool.
Was this episode better or worse than the first one?
I feel like it was worse.
Oh, it's worse. For
Yeah,
sure.
okay.
Sorry.
You guys missed some gold in the last
I
one.
don't think so. I think it's pretty much the same. I think it's
Yeah.
similar. I think
It's
we
the
talked
same.
more about Facebook Marketplace last
This
time.
one felt more condensed and simplified. Maybe we rambled too much in the first one.
And maybe that's the point, because I think maybe
Yeah.
we got to the point sooner. Because I told a story, and I'll tell it here, that what God's been showing me about distraction in my life is protecting my time and attention when it comes to business and work. Monday through Friday, work mode. Protect the time and attention. And understand the things that are trying to get my time and attention away. Because, for instance, we've been having our eye on like buying a Ford Transit van, like a 12-passenger van, just for the family. And we've just kind of been like, well, when we find one, we find one. And it was last week, like Thursday. It was like, found one for sale up in Denver. It's a deal, but I would have to. I'd have to.
I
We'd have to
a
like.
truck that day.
Yeah, we'd have to like coordinate all this. Like, I'd have to drive to Denver, go to CarMax, get a check from selling the Suburban, have him meet me there. That's assuming everything got checked out and was good. Have him meet me there, and he could get the check, and it would just be this whole. It would take a day, 2 days. The fallout would happen, and then it would be like 3-4 days later. It'd be Monday by the time I sat down. Like, okay, I'm ready to work again. I'd be like, what did I just do?
Yeah.
I wasted how many days?
And then you'd have buyer's remorse probably
Again,
in some way.
Yeah, it's like get out of that mindset
Yeah.
that says, oh, could I do this? Could we do it? Could we make it work? Could we make it happen? And start asking, no, should I do this? Should I do this? That's a
good.
very different question.
Yeah.
It's not in alignment. It's taking away from the goals and the responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think maybe we'll just leave it there. Leave it at that.
I think so.
Good story. Distractions. Watch out for them. They'll get you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leave a comment, leave a like.
And share this video.
Don't get distracted on the way. Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah.
See you in the next one.
Bye.